Hey gang, Carl White here, broadcasting actually out here on the front porch of the secret headquarters for the mortgage marketing animals. You are listening to Loan Officer Freedom, number one podcast in the world today for loan officers. Thanks to you fine people. And I'm forever grateful. As I'm recording this, I normally don't timestamp these, but I'm going to timestamp this one. I'm recording this just a couple days before Thanksgiving. And man, it might sound like something that everybody's saying, but I mean it with the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much for being a part of my world. And it's an absolute honor to be a part of yours. I don't take it lightly. I know that you could be doing anything, listening to anything you want, listening to whoever you want, and anywhere in the world, and that you would spend this time with me is just I pinch myself every morning when I wake up. So, however, I'm not going to let you off the hook that easy, right? So I've got a couple serious topics here, and let's dive right into it. So what I did today was I was sitting out on my front porch. We don't have lanais here in Florida. We have porches, right? So I was sitting out on the front porch, and I just kind of jotted myself down a little couple notes. So this is going to be a little bit of a hodgepodge. I was talking to somebody earlier today, and they said, Carl, getting leads is my issue right now. And I told them, getting leads isn't the issue. And I love people enough that I'll tell them the truth. I'll risk our relationship in telling them the truth, right? That's just the way I am. And anyway, I said, let me tell you something, my friend. Getting more leads is not your issue. Committing to do what is necessary is the issue. Committing to do what is necessary is the issue. I talk about this often, that when I go around the country, I ask people, hey, stand up in this room of 300 people. If you know that if you called your database from A to Z, with a proven script, if you know without a shadow of a doubt that you would get some loans today, if you did that activity today, stay standing. Everybody always stays standing, right? And then I say, all right, knowing that, how many of you have actually called your database from A to Z in the last 6 months? Usually out of a room of 300, I'll have 4 or 5 maybe standing, right? And we talk about this often here. And those 4 or 5, by the way, are almost always going to be the top producers in the room, right? And what sets them apart is they're not smarter, they're not better looking, they're not anything other than committing to do what is necessary, committing to do what's necessary. And I love the way my brother from another mother, Steve Kyle, says, structure out trumps motivation. Structure out trumps motivation. So what that means is committing to do what is necessary. We have to have the structure in place that we don't wait until we feel like it to take action. We take action, like in my case, calling my past database. We take action on Wednesdays from 9 to 11, because that's when the structure tells us to do it, and we commit to follow the structure. And that's why we're one of the top mortgage branches in the nation, right? And you can do that too. And I get it. Sometimes it's scary. I was talking to somebody this morning. They said, Carl, when I ask for the business, it's scary, right? They know what I do. It's scary. Look, being brave isn't supposed to be easy. To have success as a salesperson, you got to be brave. And being brave isn't supposed to be easy, right? It's going to be tough, right? It's going to be hard. That's why it pays so well. But and one other thing about this one is understand that business gets tougher as you advance to even higher levels, just like a video game, right? When you go to the next level, it requires more skill. But listen to me, my friends, listen to me. But you become more skilled and are able to advance to those higher levels faster, because now you're more skilled, right? You're more skilled. So just like I remember I think I was like in the first grade, and I saw a long division problem, and I thought, man, I could never learn that. Right, based upon the skills I had then, that wasn't such a bad thought. Like, there's no way I could learn how to do this long division. I could barely add and subtract. Right. But I found out that once I'd learned how to add and then subtract, and then we went to multiplication, I had more skills, and doing that long division was easier. Same thing in our mortgage business, right? I remember when I first started closing 0 loans, and I thought, man, closing 10 loans, how in the world would you do that? I hadn't even closed one loan yet. But after I've been doing it for about 6 months, if I remember right, my first 10 loans closing month was my 6th month in the business, because I had learned and had a great mentor, did what he told me to do. And I had more skills after 6 months, and I was able to pull off 10. But if you say, Carl, now your team's going to do 100, I went, holy cow, how is that ever going to happen? And now my team today, that I'm a branch manager of, we do hundreds. My team closes hundreds with an S of loans each month, because I have more skills today than I had back then. Is it hard or harder? Well, yeah, it's hard, but I'm now equipped with the skills for it. So just understand that things get harder, but you get more skills so that you're able to do that. Different topic, just real quick, as I'm just hodgepodging here for a few minutes. One of my favorite questions to ask people sometimes comes across as a little bit uncool, but it's a great question. And I'm going to reflect it back to the first part that we're talking about here. And here's the question. If you were replaced, what's the first thing that your replacement would stop doing that you're now currently doing? Or here, let me ask it a better way. If you were replaced, what's the first thing your replacement would start doing that you're not doing right now? If you were replaced, what's the first thing that your replacement would stop doing? I'm sorry, let me say that again. If you were replaced, what's the first thing that your replacement would start doing that you're currently not doing? Right? Man, that's a great question. And most of the time, it's going to go back to what we started talking about here in the beginning, is doing what we already know we need to do, right? Getting more leads isn't the issue. Committing to do what's necessary is the issue, right? And if we just simply do that, that's likely what our replacement would start doing that we're not, is just doing those things we already need to do. We just haven't stepped up to the plate to actually do those things. One thing that always helps me out a little bit is I look at a vision for my future self. And typically I would say like 3 years, like a 1-year vision minimum. But right now I'm changing that up a little bit. Right now, it's like, where are you at for the next 90 days? 90 days from now, where are you at? Because if we don't get that straightened out, there's going to be a lot of loan officers out of the business, right? This is serious stuff. And so what is your vision for yourself in the next 90 days? That'd be a good thing to write down. Like, write down a date and your vision of who you are on that date, what you're doing, what's the results of what you're doing, right? Maybe it's, 90 days. I'd love to be, maybe you're currently closing 1 or 2 loans every other month. And you go, man, if I could do when I'm doing a solid 5 per month, that's what I envision 90 days from now. Write that down. Write down 90 days from now, 5 loans per month, right? That's who I am as a person. That's what I identify as an entity. Next thing to write down, what, if any, are all the obstacles standing in your way of getting there? What, if any, are all the obstacles that are perhaps standing in your way, right? What's happening? And usually there's going to be about 3 or 4 obstacles that'll dance in our head, right? Write those down. Like, write them down. Maybe it's like, hey, I have an obstacle. Who would I call? Once I know who to call, how do I get their number? Once I get their number, what am I going to say? And here's the thing with this stuff, and y'all have heard me harp about this. Don't rely on magic beans. Don't rely on magic beans. Anytime somebody says, that a group of real estate agents are going to be begging to work with you, or you never have to do any work, that they just magically fall out of the sky. Don't fall for that stuff, right? So what's your vision of who you are in the next 90 days from now? And then what are the obstacles standing in your way? I don't know who to call. I don't know what to say. I don't currently have the structure in place. Like, write those down. Now, look at each of those obstacles. Is there a decision you can make, or an action you can make, maybe a phone call you could make, that would turn that from an obstacle to a strategy? In other words, let's just say, hey, Carl, I don't know who to call, where I get their number from. Look, there's multitudes of ways to find that out. I'm just going to give one here just real quick. Qualifiedagentlist.com. Qualifiedagentlist.com. If you go to qualifiedagentlist.com, that Richard Smith has a service. Well, he'll give you a minimum of 1,000 real estate agents who each have closed at least 4 buy sides in the last 6 months, at least 4 buy sides in the last 6 months. So they're active now today. They're the agents that's stepping up to plate, just doing what they need to do to make it happen. And you get their name, you get their phone number, you get their email address, you get how many units they're closing, the volume, the city, the state. And you can divide, you can say, like, if you live in, I don't know, Atlanta, you can say, I want 500 in Atlanta. And I also have an office in Tampa Bay here in my backyard. So I want 500 in Atlanta, and I want 500 in Tampa Bay. Or I want 500 in Denver, and I want 500 in Dallas, whatever, wherever it is. So you've now overcome that obstacle. So now, just by going to qualifiedagentlist.com, that obstacle now is a strategy, because you took action to make that happen, right? And now you know who to call and what to say. If I remember right, he even goes on there, once you get the list, he even talks about, like, what do you say to them, right? And we do that every morning, Monday through Thursday, on the Breakfast Club, on the Loan Officer Breakfast Club. I don't want to give too many things for you to do here, but if you go to loanofficerbreakfastclub.com, every Monday through Thursday, we tell you exactly what to say to everybody, right? So what's your vision of who you are? What are the obstacles that's keeping that from happening currently? And now look at those obstacles. Is there a decision that can be made? Is there an action you can make? Is there a phone call you can make that would turn that obstacle into a strategy? And the answer is always yes. But see, that goes back to getting more leads isn't the issue. Committing what to do is the issue. Committing what to do is the issue, right? You got to commit what to do. And I think a lot of times loan officers are, instead they want to get busy with, well, I'm going to do my social media, like that's somehow some great savior. Or I'm going to go rearrange my desk. I need to go clean up my desk. Or I'm going to go design a logo. Or let me go check my emails first. The reason why people gravitate to those things is you can't fail at answering emails. You can't fail at rearranging the furniture in your office. You can't fail at designing your logo, right? But in reality, what those are called, and you can't fail at, like, social media. What that really is what I call comfortable failures. They're accepted failures. Like, I can go do that activity and the stuff that actually make loans come in, because that's accepted. Of course, I need a clean office. I've got to have a logo. Social media, isn't that where everybody gets their loans, right? Well, come to find out, it's only 3%. 3% of the people that found their loan officer found them on social media. Recent study, 3%. So should you do social media? Well, of course, 3% of the time, right? 3% of the time. So be cautious about doing those things that are easy, that you, quote, can't fail at. I'm using air quotes when I say can't fail at. Stay away from those comfortable failures. Stay away from those comfortable failures. And I think a lot of times that we find ourselves in. And I'm guilty of this stuff too, right? God, I'm not sitting here on the high and mighty throne saying, not me, not me. Because I've fallen short on these things too, right, in the past. I think today I'm doing things pretty good, actually. I haven't designed a logo or rearranged the furniture in my office in quite some time, or spent a day in my email, or even a couple of hours in my email. It's been a long time since I've done that, because I think, when I was falling prey into those kinds of things, is I was looking for new things to do instead of doing what I already knew worked. Let me say it again. You have to be careful not to be looking for new things to do instead of doing more of what we already know that works, right? So, all right. So I didn't mean to come down hard. Gosh, here we are. I think this issue is going to be released the day before Thanksgiving. But I love you enough that I'll risk our relationship to tell you the truth. I think that's important. So, all right. Well, I'm going to give you something here. Like you need some more loans to close now. I'm going to give you a real quick little script. And we've used this one in the past. Somebody just mentioned it at our last Freedom Club meeting that we had down here in Tampa, where we have some of the top loan officers in the nation. We all meet up and just exchange ideas back and forth. Really, really cool. You ought to be a part of that. But one of the people brought up one of the strategies we've been using for a while and reminded me of it. And this is where you're going to ask real estate agents, and this could be agents that are new to you, right? They're qualified. You got to make sure they're qualified. They're closing at least 4 buy-sides in the last 6 months as a minimum, right? You got to make sure of that. And these might be agents that you've worked with for a while, again, that are qualified. But reach out to them, make sure they're qualified, verify the numbers, and reach out to them and ask them this simple question. Who did you work with in the last 6 months that should have bought a house but didn't? In other words, it was in their best interest to buy a house, but something happened. Maybe they got frustrated on looking, they ran out of time, whatever. They just didn't do it. Have that agent send you over that list, and you reach out to those prospects using a thing that we call future casting. Very powerful. Using future casting, you'll find that when you use that strategy, it reignites their interest. It brings them back on the forefront. And very rapidly, it's been my experience that we'll close some loans from doing that, right? So call the agent. And again, this might be a new agent. Say, hey, I got a great idea. Here's something I'd like to try. Or this might be an agent that you're already working with. Send me a list of all those people that should have bought in the last 6 months but didn't. And you might stretch it out even. That should have bought here in 2023, as I'm recording this, is toward the end of 2023. They should have bought in 2023, but they didn't, right? Get that list. And then, Mr. and Mrs. Realtor, I'm going to call those people. I'm going to use a thing called future casting, get them re-excited. And it's been our experience that you'll get some listings and you'll get to work with some buyers based upon the activity. It's just, a lot of people, they get stressed out and kind of put things in the back burner. Maybe, I don't know, maybe they got busy having a baby. Maybe they got busy sending the kids off to college. Maybe they got busy, working in their home office. They need more space, and use future casting to get them re-excited. And that does really, for us anyway, that's always resulted in closing more loans. And then you and the agent will be working these leads, and then convert them back into pre-approved borrowers, and using the future cast, get them take action, of course, as long as it's in their best interest. So you got to be careful of the future casting. Future casting is a very, very powerful tool, and you only want to use it, of course, for good, for people where it actually makes sense for them to buy a new home. Future casting is fantastic at doing that. Hey, if you're saying, Carl, what is future casting? If you're not familiar with it, or if you want to know more about different strategies to get you to that 90-day plan of where you want to be at in 90 days and structure that out for you, just go to freedomclubdemo.com, freedomclubdemo.com. freedomclubdemo.com, freedomclubdemo.com. And what we'll do is for 45 minutes, we'll do a one-on-one call for you, and we'll walk you through some exact strategies. We have an old saying over here: if you want to demonstrate you can help people, the best way to do that is to actually help them. So we'll help you for absolutely free, and I'm convinced that you'll get a great benefit from it. And some of those people say, "Hey, man, I'd like to do this more often," and we talk about that. And some, "Hey, thanks so much for the last hour. Got a lot of great stuff. I got it from here." Totally cool. Either way is totally cool. But don't miss out on this stuff. Keep in mind, the activity that you do today is going to dictate what you're doing 90 days from now. So if we keep doing the last thing, or if we keep doing the same things that we did for the last 90 days, then we're going to get the same results that we got from that. And if that's awesome, great, keep doing that. If it's less than what you're looking for, well, it means we need to shake things up. We need to do something a little different, and that's okay. I can tell you the plan is to be your own best friend, right? And set yourself up so that 90 days from now, you wake up going, holy cow, I just had my best month ever, which we see often. I just had my best month ever. Thank you, thank you, thank you, 90 day ago me, for taking action with this stuff and actually making this happen, right? You can be your own new best friend. And trust me, 90 days from now, you're going to wake up and it's going to be a morning just like today. And you're either going to have regrets, or you're going to have gratitude. And here it is at Thanksgiving time. Let's make sure you have gratitude. So freedomclubdemo.com, freedomclubdemo.com. Thank you again so very much. Be safe this holiday season. Be with your family or with your loved ones or wherever and whoever you want to be with, if anybody, right? Hope you get a chance to do that. Make great decisions, and I'll see you after the holiday. freedomclubdemo.com, schedule a call, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks again, everybody. Bye-bye.